And welcome back to Area DMG. I am your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Game Boy Micro. Ooh. Once upon a time, Nintendo thought everybody in the world had small hands. This is before Nintendo wised up and realized that everybody in the United States and in the world has ridiculous hands that require huge, ridiculous systems like the DSi XL or the 3DS XL. We love huge systems. But anyways, before they did that, a little after they debuted the Nintendo DS, they debuted the Game Boy Micro. You see, the original Nintendo DS was, it was supposed to be like a successor to the Game Boy, but they weren't so sure about it, so at first they were like, no, this is our third pillar. And then to reinforce their third pillar philosophy, they decided to bring out the Game Boy Micro. Game Boy Micro came out in 2 flavors in the United States, and the third special edition Famicom one later on for the anniversary of the Famicom. Anyways, they came out in silver and black or onyx or cobalt or whatever they want to call it, and then the special edition, which kind of looks a little like Iron Man. Anyways, what makes the Game Boy Micro unique is that, 1, it's kind of tiny. The thing is ridiculously tiny, especially when you compare it to, say, a Nintendo DSi XL, which, yeah, tiny. For other comparisons, let's go ahead and compare it to, like, I don't know. Here's a pin. See? Tiny. The whole system itself is just, well, it's tiny. The screen itself was about 1.75 inch, or rather 2 inches across. The whole system itself was 4 inches by 2 inches, and then pretty much that thin. Unlike the Game Boy Advance SP, which had a much larger screen, this one actually had the ability to connect a normal headphone cable to it. It took just Game Boy Advance cartridges. Game Boy Color cartridges and stuff wouldn't even fit in it, and even if you made them fit, they would not play on it because it's just a Game Boy Advance. Just Game Boy Advance. The system itself had a lot of little interesting innovations. It has its own power adapter, which makes it separate from any other systems. It's kind of like the DS Lite, where that has its own power adapter. The product number is OXY, OXY, like the AC adapter is OXY001, and these are OXY001, the Game Boy Micro. Anyways, it just epitomizes tiny and stuff. One speaker here, and it's brushed aluminum. Batteries here. System itself, this is a little strap for like a headphone strap or cell phone strap, kind of like similar to cell phones. But yeah, you put in your Game Boy Advance cartridge, you turn it on. Now, volume's on the side. You can turn it all the way down and all the way up. When it hits the top, it beeps. And then, of course, you can adjust the brightness by holding the L button and hitting that same button. The screen itself is actually pretty sharp. The unit's pretty darn sharp for being so tiny. Anyways, it also has, when you turn it on, the select and start buttons glow blue. When the battery starts to die, the select and start buttons glow red. It gets angry at you. Now, many people be like, but that's a tiny screen. How on earth am I supposed to play that? Well, what it makes up for in being tiny, it makes up for in being sharp. Well, it's a tiny screen. It is really darn sharp because of the increased pixel density. So even games like, let's see, Final Fantasy VI. Come on, Final Fantasy VI. Let's load up a game. Even the let's see, we're over here in this, and even stuff like Final Fantasy VI is pretty darn easy to read. Yeah. Anyways, let's also show off something that was kind of unique to the Game Boy Micro. The Game Boy Micro came with, well, the black and silver ones came with extra faceplates. Now, these extra faceplates allow you, with this particular tool, you pop this tool into here, push up, and this extra faceplate comes out. Now, you can replace the faceplate by, whoop, got this backwards, done. The idea was they wanted these to be successful so that they could sell extra faceplates with all sorts of different styles. Now, with the advent of 3D printers, we can now make some of these extra faceplates. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, once upon a time, they developed a system that allowed you to customize it. Yeah, I just knocked over that. Anywho, the system itself was, I think it retailed for like about $100, which at the time people were like, but this doesn't play Game Boy Color games. It's not a good deal compared to the SP. And they were right. The Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP can play Game Boy Color games and Game Boy Advance games. Larger screen, more vibrant colors, just not as sharp, not as portable, and you have to have a special adapter with the Game Boy Advance SP so that you can play, or rather use, your own headphones. But the Game Boy Micro itself is a neat piece of kit. I really love the D-pad for it is one of the best in the business. The B and A buttons are really responsive. The system itself just screams class. I mean, look at this. It's just gorgeous. Look at that. It's a beautiful, vibrant red. It's made out of metal, and that's something you don't see often enough or at all with a lot of Nintendo systems. It had the ability to like switch between switch between like different types of faceplates. The system itself is just sharp and amazing. Yeah. The innovations they added, like they added this type of little slider later on for, I think, the DSi. Yeah, the DSi has that. The system itself it's a wonderful device. It's a little tough to find now, and it's pretty expensive, but it is classy. I mean, this is a Nintendo system with some style. It was a shame it never really took off, because it would have been nice to get tons of other faceplates for it. But the system also was released in different colors in Europe and Japan. I mean, there's blue, there's a Mother 3 one, which is intense. It's just a system that time has been kind to it, I would say, because this is a real portable system. Fits in your pocket, it's sturdy, everything about it screams class, and it's customizable. It's something that, like, things like the PlayStation Portable Go tend to get kind of a bad rap because this one was download only, but at the end of the day, the downloadable content available for it made this one of the best ways to go out there and experience Monster Hunter Freedom Unite or Phantasy Star Portable 2. It was just a nice little system. Now, this is something where if Sony were smart, they would have given you the ability to customize the faceplate on this thing. But now we're in a era where portable screens like the iPad or so, or even cell phones are getting larger and such. Some of the new systems, like say the 3DS XL, are huge compared to the Game Boy Micro. But at the end of the day, this is really the best way to play Game Boy Advance games. It's the best way to try out that particular era of Nintendo's life. And if you can afford it, because they are kind of pricey, just look at the thing. It's classy. I love this thing. It's portable. It's gorgeous. And just, I mean, this is one of the few Nintendo systems that, honestly, you can look at this thing and from an aesthetic point of view, it is amazing. The screen is nice and sharp, and really, this is how you play these old games. Also, I mean, Link to the Past. Look at this stuff. Wonderful. But yeah, there's a little bit of a glare because this is kind of shiny. This thing is a fingerprint magnet, but look at how sharp that is. It's incredibly sharp. Let me go into the actual game. Start from safe place. I mean, being able to take this with you on the go on such a nice and sharp screen, almost makes the expensive the expensive price of entry worth it. Just worth it. Look at this thing. Wonderful. I think I've been gushing a little bit too much about these, but yeah. This is the Game Boy Micro. I just wanted to do something just highlighting when it's pulled out of I think it was Iwata's pocket or Reggie's pocket at the time, people were like, this is ridiculous, this is dumb, Nintendo's ruined, Nintendo's doomed, they're gonna go third party. Yeah, the Game Boy Micro was failed. It was a failure, but it was a magnificent failure. It really is the classiest handheld ever made. I mean, look at that system. Look at this. With a library of hundreds of games and multiple styles and colors to choose from, and just an excellent battery life, and just real, true portability. I mean, I have phones that are like twice the size of this thing that I carry around all the time. Also, because they wanted you to carry it around, every single one of them came with one of these nice little pouches, so you can take it with you on the go and keep it protected. Nintendo actually cared about the Game Boy Micro enough to give you a way to store it, enough to give you all sorts of options. This is Nintendo just doing something just for the fans, and that's why the Game Boy Micro is still not just one of the classiest handhelds ever made, it's still one of the best. And that's about all I got to say about that.